You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rudrance for our Black and White Sports. Well, we've got information in on Bubba Wallace's suspension. And more importantly, I think there's a massive outrage and people are calling for McDonald's to drop Bubba Wallace as a sponsor. And for full disclosure, I believe that NASCAR they completely bent the knee on this suspension, not nearly harsh enough. I think Bubba Wallace got some privilege here. I think his social justice antics in the past, we all know famously the garage pull rope hoax. And I think he is getting some privilege here for his leftist antics he has pulled in the past. And NASCAR is scared of any potential mainstream media outrage they might get if they were to ban Wallace for the rest of the racing season or ban him for life. And in fact, a NASCAR executive come out and made a statement. And look, this article says that he slammed Wallace. They punished him for only what happened on the track. Now, you got to punish him for attacking Kyle Larson. There's just no way around it. You have to punish him for that. And the fact that you didn't, I think, is absolutely shameful. NASCAR executive blasts Wallace for intentionally slamming into driver. Definitely crossed the line. NASCAR COO Steve O'Donnell slammed driver Bubba Wallace during an interview Tuesday about that crash that Wallace caused Sunday and his subsequent attack on a driver. The incident happened during Stage 2 of the South Point 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway when Wallace, who won Stage 1, was next to driver Kyle Larson when Larson attempted a three-wide pass. Larson moved up the track and his car gave a slight tap to Wallace's car, causing Wallace's car to brush up against the wall. After brushing up against the wall, Wallace bounced into Larson's car and then continued by tracking Larson's car down the track and slamming into the rear of his car, causing both cars to spin out. Quote, "Our actions are really specific to what took place on the racetrack," O'Donnell told SiriusXM Speedway host Dave Moody. And when we look at how that incident occurred in our minds, it was a really dangerous act. We thought it was intentional and put other competitors at risk. And as we look at the sport and where we are today, we want to draw that line going forward. We thought that definitely crossed the line. And that's what we were focused on in terms of making this call. Come on, man. A one-race suspension? When asked about how NASCAR determined Wallace's actions were intentional, O'Donnell said that there was a lot of data that we looked at. A lot of data? Come on. Look at the damn screen. NBC's on-screen telemetry of Wallace's car, quote, seemed to disprove Wallace's defense because measurements showed that Wallace was all the way down on the gas just before hitting Larson. Wow. Which the report said would not have been expected if he did not have control of the steering, an insider reported. We've got a lot of data available to us, O'Donnell said, and we looked at the data and kind of reviewed the incident from a bunch of different angles. O'Donnell said that Wallace's actions were something that NASCAR does not want to see going forward, and fans should not try to compare NASCAR's one-race suspension of Wallace to other past actions that NASCAR has taken. Come on, man. Wallace's outburst sparked calls for him to be suspended or face criminal charges. Hundreds of accounts on social media called out Wallace's top sponsor and challenged the fast food company to reconsider its decision to sponsor him. Let's go to Bounding in the Sports. NASCAR fans call on McDonald's to drop Bubba Wallace sponsorship after he attacked Kyle Larson at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's scroll down a little bit here. After the contact, Larson dove down towards the infield, and Wallace appears to chase him down the track, nails Larson's car in rear quarter panel, sending him spinning up the track and into the outside wall. Wallace would also spin up the track and make hard contact with the outside wall. Following the wreck, Wallace exited the vehicle, walked towards Larson's car. Upon arriving at Larson's car, Wallace then began shoving Larson, who never really fought back, but only attempted to keep Wallace at bay by extending his arms and giving him a slight shove back. Wallace continued to shove Larson until the track official eventually broke them up. Dustin Long of NBC Sports tweets, NASCAR states that they will review the entire incident between Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson this week. NASCAR did not call Wallace to the hauler after the incident. So, let's just go down here to some of the feedback over McDonald's. It's unclear whether NASCAR will punish Wallace or not. We know he got a one-race suspension. Either way, NASCAR fans want one of Wallace's top sponsors, McDonald's, which also happened to be his main sponsor for the South Point 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, to end the deal with him. Bubba Wallace not only wrecked Larson at high speed in a car with a questionable safety record, but then proceeded to try to fight him. Wonder how McDonald's and other sponsors feel right now. Another user, I do not see how anyone can justify Bubba Wallace's actions. Just purely unacceptable. He needs to be suspended. We know he got a one-race suspension. That's not nearly enough. McDonald's needs their asses to determine their... What? McDonald's needs to asses whether or not assess, I think is what that's supposed to be. McDonald needs to assess whether or not he is the right person to represent their brand in NASCAR. I used to fully support Bubba. I cannot after witnessing that. Boycott McDonald's until Wallace is terminated. This person said, wow, McDonald's, you must be proud. And this person brought up something very interesting. McDonald's needs to choose another representative of the brand. Attacking one of the only Asian drivers in NASCAR is not a good look. Neither is putting your hand on an official. NASCAR needs to give Bubba Wallace a significant suspension for his actions on Sunday. McDonald's needs to drop Bubba Wallace immediately. Boycott McDonald's. Sponsor money from McDonald's helps Bubba Wallace be able to race. Stop eating at McDonald's. This is a way to protest the aberrant behavior by Bubba Wallace yesterday. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it. McDonald's should drop Wallace over this unsportsmanlike conduct. After a crash, you go make sure the driver is okay. You don't assault him. Yeah. So, and I'm not going to read Bubba Wallace's apology because, frankly, the way he acted during that interview afterwards, I didn't feel like any kind of apology or anything was going to be authentic. It's for things like his sponsors, okay? He doesn't give a shit that he did what he did to Kyle Larson. I don't believe that for a solitary second, not a millisecond, do I believe he has any actual true remorse. This is about retaining sponsors, and you know, he preemptively launched the apology before the suspension came out. Okay, so I would guess that was probably part of the deal, unbeknownst to anything. I'm sure he has an agent that probably said, look, put out an apology publicly before the suspension comes out publicly. I'm sure Bubba probably already knew what he was going to get at that time. One race is not nearly enough. And yeah, somebody, McDonald's, needs to look at what Bubba Wallace did, his actions, how dangerous they were to Kyle Larson and the other NASCAR drivers, and they need to rip their sponsorship away. And it is so unacceptable that NASCAR only gave him one race. That's embarrassingly and afraid and cowardly of NASCAR to have went that light on Bubba Wallace. Wow. It's crazy. I'm sorry, but you've got to punish him for the attack on Larson too, not just what happened on the race car track. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.